from pre-modernization to post-modernization. In this book from the 70s, a British book, there's a lot listed. And now we have said first and foremost what is modernization. And that is the industrialization of a country, and that there is a proper administration, and also that there is training in technology. And intellectual abilities are there a lot, and also that there is a working system of medical and social welfare things. And most people striving to get that. In some countries who have reached it already, the expansion of industrialization of other things is oftentimes not so much liked, because the negative consequences are seen that we're overweighing the positive ones. For example, is the seeing of smoke associated in these countries when with destroying of the environment. Other countries, if they see smoke, they just see the modernization, positive things. Some countries are diminished in their growth of modernization because they're having a big increase in population. For example, India risen the population from the 1950s to the 1980s in a double. Now, there are not also something else. The technology has made progress, and it is possible with atomic weapons to basically kill everyone on the planet, but also has the medicine made progress, and it is also possible now to prevent infant mortality almost completely. Now, there are different political ideas. For example, Marxism arisen, and that gives an explanation for the misery that some people have, and also how it gets better. Nationalism also, that gives the people cultural identity, and also solidarity against foreign exploiters as idea. The whole industrialization and modernization is fueled on fossil fuels, a lot of it. And there's a big shift of wealth from these modernization countries to some other countries, to the people who have their control over the oil, for example. For example, in Kuwait or in Abu Dhabi in Libya, Saudi Arabia. And also another thing is, for example, the company General Motors has made in the year 1970 so many cars in the amount of which the cars which were sold in the year 1970 by General Motors was more money than the whole country of Yugoslavia, Greek or Egypt is doing with altogether. Now, some people have already released post-modernization or post-industrialization. And pre-industrialization was mainly working on extracting raw materials from the ground, so coal or whatever. And industrialization was a lot about manufacturing of goods, and now it goes more to intellectual abilities, to universities, to theoretical knowledge. And theoretical knowledge is an asset which can be used technically by everyone, and it cannot be used up. That is why many countries putting a lot of money in education and also. Another thing he argued in this book is when said that humans no longer fight against nature, but against other humans. And there's also a lot of things necessary to keep societies now working. There's a lot of health necessary, welfare, and so on. And there are also firms now necessary to work on the system, basically. There are trade associations representing the consumers and the producers of things. Now, there are many different jobs listed. The United States lists over 20,000 occupations types. And some of them need years to study for, others just a few months. And in these occupations, there are the more foreign workers working, where it's easier to go from job to job. And that happens, for example, in Germany and the United States of America. The next thing is, if the people have grown apart, is argued in this book, that the people, they are making holiday in other countries. They are no longer bound to the rhythms of the season, to agriculture when they have to sow the seeds, or to the manufacture of the machines or whatever. They are bound to other things. And they're making the holidays in other countries. And if they have in another town a better occupation which gives more money, they are changing the town. And if now a family moves from town to town, they are losing their contact to their relatives. And that way the distinctive flavor, dialect, attitudes and so on of the region gets lost. But the people all over share a common body of knowledge about mass media. They watch the same movies, the same books, and so on. They have a shared knowledge of mass media. And through that they are able to communicate with each other over their other social backgrounds. And the next thing in this book is that also the clothes have changed. People are no longer identifiable by their clothes, what class they have, and the fashion is changing rapidly. And the old becomes the new. So basically the people were what they want. And many people decide to try, if they have the money and the means to acquire it, and also know what clothes to wear. They have been trying to become part of through the t-shirts, what they were, to become part of a jazz group, so to become part of it, or of movies or something. But here's an argument in this book that does not give a central link of community actually, as once the churches or other things did. Now another thing here is said that the most post-modernization countries or modernization countries have reached literacy. Basically everyone can read and write. Other countries are still struggling with it. And also basically all around the world with the mass media aspect, getting these mass media, and they can see what can be achieved and they want to achieve it. And now people, they have all something pervading in all their life, and that is bureaucracy and organization listed in this book, is said in this book here. And that means that all the people are basically organized, all live by the same rules and so on, and all people are organized, but they don't get a feeling of togetherness. They're just organized. Another thing that's said is that of children, of students, of pupils, it is suspected to find a form of free expression and of identity. They are offered choice and also the ability to express themselves, but they don't really have the structures and the loyalty necessary to form an identity in the first place. They are organized in two big scales in schools. They are moving from classroom to classroom with different pupils and so on, as he argued. The next thing is that also authorities figures have declined. People no longer have so much policeman, person, parent, political father figure or God listed in this book here as an authority figure. Also it's been said that also the elites are calling for equality. And people no longer work so much in their own business, in their own bookshop or whatever, in their own corner shop. They work for large corporations. And they are in these corporations not interested in the profit which they make or the whole economy, but just in their own employment, because they don't take part in the profit. The next thing is when many people don't blame themselves or another individual person for a problem if it occurs, but the whole system. Many people want to say the system, how the society works, but they don't want to take the risks to adapt a new one. Then the rise of sociology has happened, and there was also said that many people who were oppressed in wood forms, whatever, were also in by the whole group and by the whole system. And that had brought progress in discrimination against women, where women get the same rights as men, and also that people who don't have a white skin color also get the same rights. This idea of sociology, that every form of discipline is a problem, also went on into achievements, was been said in this book here. So that also schools are affected by it. And there's no said that in the schools the free expression is more important than the skill or literacy to get. And that there are people from other countries who are going on to these countries, want to get these modernizations, literacy, skills and so on, but in the schools, in these schools are oftentimes offered expression of these other things. Also another thing is when said that the people have grown more homogeneous, that the people have an opinion about many different things, basically about all things, and that it is possible for a small group of activists to make, at that point, something and then change the whole direction of the whole country. A small group of activists at one point is able to change the whole direction over the democratic majority. But that it is not so big in countries of pluralism, many countries who are post-modernization in Western countries, because there's a great form of pluralism with different religions, different political parties, different institutions. That doesn't happen so much there, that some group of activists can have an influence on the whole political region. And another thing then said is that in some countries there are other secondary things growing, and they are basically striving for having just one identity, one religion, one ethnic and one country. But it's also not so strong in Western countries. In Western countries, post-modernization, there's the idea of liberty and people of different ethnic groups with different ideologies and different ideas are there, so that these countries are giving the people the option to have their own individualism. That all is according to that book here, Reader's Digest, Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 2, Part 8, Man and Society, written by C. L. Beddock, Hugh Jocelyn, Emily Court, Peter Loyce, Lucy Mayer, David Martin, Jacqueline Sarsby, Ruth D. Whitehouse, J.C. Woodburn, on the page 444 and 445. If you click this video away, then please tell me what the reason was, so that I can prove. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn political science today, the dilemma of modern man, and after we've done that, we're going to do martial arts basics training. And if you participate in the martial arts basics training, then it's at your own risk. Now this is quite a long test. We already read it once completely. Now we're reading it for a second time, and we're trying to memorize the important things said in it. We're needing around 30 minutes to read it completely. We are 1/3 in, so let's go fastly over what we had already to remember. It was modernization, or going to modernization, industrialization means industrialization, training in science and technology, and full range of social medical services and a proper administration. Only a few people in the already modernized societies think, some people in the already there modernized societies think that is the negative things outweighing the positive things if the modernization is expanded. For example, the example is basically, and other people in poorer countries don't see it like that. The example is, for some people in some societies which have reached modernization, the seeing of dust and smoke is something negative because it destroys more of the environment than it helps making money or something. Whereas other countries don't think of nature and environment so much. And also some countries are limited in their progress because we're having a strong population rise, like India doubling in around 30 years. And also the technologies are able with atomic bombs to kill everyone on the planet, but also is it able with medicine to decrease the infant mortality. Then that there are some problems which are then through two things are here as examples said, Marxism and nationalism. Marxism that gives an explanation for poverty or something which arises and a hope that it gets better. Nationalism gives an identity in a culture and also a solidarity against foreign exploiters. And all people basically demand that the people have to make sacrifices now for a better future. There's also great resources needed, and that shifts money from this modernized country or industrialized country to the people in control of oil fabrics or drilling stations, whatever they are called, in countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, and Libya. And that some industries like General Motors are making more money or selling cars and more worth as other countries like Egypt, Greek, or Yugoslavia in a whole year selling something. Some countries have reached already post-industrialization, and these countries are going more into the direction of education and ability, technology, when in the rest. And universities are very important, and a new class has arisen. They are not just the blue-collar workers, manufacturing, but also the students, basically the university people. And it is also necessary in this post-industrial society to have more people working on health, education, welfare agencies, research, computers, and system analysis. The book is from the 70s, and it's a British one. And it is not longer a so big game against nature, but more person against person. There are many different types of occupations, and some need many years to work on and to learn for, to reach them in universities. And the ones which don't need so much studying for, they are oftentimes worked on by people from foreign countries, for example in Germany or the United States of America. Okay, that took us over 3 minutes just to go faster a bit. It was just the first word. Let's read on. The people of post-industrial society are less tied to the they're less tied to the natural rhythm. They're not living after the seasons when they're planting and making agriculture, but still they are growing more apart because they're making the holidays in other countries. If they need a job, if they need a job, they are moving the town and they don't know each other so much anymore. There's little sense of community, basically. And the web of kinship found in London's East End and northern cotton towns is broken. Families are isolated from relatives as they move to estates or upended in tower blocks. So people don't live together in bigger families because they are moving to towns, living in other areas, other houses, and so on. And we could technically go on like this, we already read it. The more people move, the more the regions lose their distinctive flavor, speech and attitude. Mass media, particularly radio and television, create a worldwide culture which cuts across classes and frontiers. For this reason, Western societies especially has become what the Canadian social scientist Marshall McLuhan defines as a global village. Men of various religious, racial, and social backgrounds share a body of knowledge that helps them to communicate with each other and to reach common standards of behavior. So the people don't have the dialect or something of their own town anymore, but there is like a global village, there is a shared culture of the same movies and things watched and same music heard, and people across different religions, cultures, backgrounds, where was listed, somewhere are able to communicate based on that shared knowledge. Somewhere was it written. Okay, somewhere was it written. The mass media have raised the hopes of millions in developing countries. They instill a readiness to change and broadcast information on crucial issues such as health and agriculture. General literacy has been virtually achieved in the advanced industrialized countries, but remains a substantial problem throughout the third world. So in the industrialized countries, most people can read and write. In other countries, there are areas where still most people cannot write, or in the 60s, 70s, when the book was written. Many features of Western culture are spreading through the emerging nations. Christian missionaries who entered the former colonies in the wake of European expansion are a significant force of modernization. A Christian mission in Africa often resembles a township of its own, with schools, hospitals, printing works, and small-scale industries. From newspapers, television, and the radio, modern ideas infiltrate into traditional backwaters, speeding up progress and changing fashions. Indeed, fashions revolve so rapidly that the old is the new and the new is the old. People choose whichever style takes their fancy. So the first thing, different types of knowledge, technological work, and so on are spread, for example, through Christian missionaries who are, for example, in Africa, building the schools, towns, printing works on small scale and industries, something basically from that it is spread that the world uses the same types of things, for example, also. And other countries are starting to make modernization. And the other thing here, there's no such thing as class clothes wearing that people wear clothes based on a class. They basically choose what they want. The fashion is evolving very fast, and what was a week ago out of date is again in. So the people basically choose what they want to wear if they have the money to buy it. Dress no longer easily reveals differences of income, but certain styles are clearly a declaration of personal whim or loyalty to a group. This reveals two characteristics of modern society: the search for personal identity and the attempt to submerge identity behind group badges. If local character and community are eroded, some people will seek to express a personal identity while others seek the shelter of an intimate group. They will dress like students, pop fans, or devotees of progressive jazz. What they're saying there, the way people clothe no longer says what class they are, or where they're from, or what identity they have. Basically, everyone can wear almost everything. People have no loss of identity, and they have not a village or community. They're starting to have to pop groups, to bands, to music, to something, and try to identify through that. But these exclusive groups provided no central link of community or of local character and style, as the churches and other voluntary organizations once did. The only all-pervasive influence reaching into particularly every aspect of man's life is the grid of officialdom and bureaucracy. It enables standardization and efficiency to be used to the best advantage, but according to some social scientists, it had also affected society in unforeseen and unwanted ways. The growth of bureaucracy, it is argued, has contributed to the disenchantment of the world. As a result, the world has become less spontaneous and more bound by rules and set procedures. Bureaucracy's demands have created the organization, man, woman, conformist and well-trained but lacking in the old values of togetherness, the feeling of belonging to a group, and deprived of his personality and humanity. People, it is argued, are treated as means, not as means to an end, rather than as ends in themselves. They are administered in common by impersonal rules and the neutral activity of a bureaucrat. So people are living basically all on the same rules, by bureaucratic rules, and that is what we're living after and are organized after. They don't get the feeling of togetherness through being ruled by this impersonal ruling, they are just ruled by it. The same effects can be seen in schools, which are often organized on such large scale that the supreme loyalty is not easily achieved. The buildings themselves may not allow the whole school to come together as a body. Complex timetables require pupils to move about, first with this group and then with that. But pupils are expected to find their identity and express themselves. They are offered choice and free expression without the stable structures and loyalties which make identity possible in the first place. The result may be the disconnection and rootlessness that some sociologists call anomie. People in schools, they are going from class to class, always with other students. They are expected, when they are growing up during their childhood, to develop an identity and a self-feeling. But they're not really able to do that because they're just going from place to place every time with different students, basically. Now, there are differences, of course, but that is what I said here. I'm just trying to say what I said here. Problems of authority. A school or society in constant movement faces the problem of authority. We don't have time for it. So we came to 2/3. That means we have 1/3 left. When we're going to continue the next part of it. If you were here for political science, you can go directly to the next part of political science. I will try to read in that manner. Probably the first 2/3 again, fast over it, and then the last third, and we try to memorize it all and say it all from memory. Basically, we're doing it by the saying it. If you were here for political science, you can go directly to the next part of political science. If you stay here and participate in the martial arts basics training, then it's at your own risk. We're bringing them back up. And we are. The mushroom exercise. Take one leg at the ankle, straight back, knee onto the ground, the crane exercise. Other leg. Exercise, one toe points in front, toes pointing in front, and the other leg is stretched over the other side. The toes are pointing forward and we're stretching the inner side of the leg. Now the mentors go from side to side. And now a few lunges. Go in front with the right leg, down and back. Again, the front, back, right leg, and left leg. And now the shoulders no block. One knee up, back, 1, 2, 3 steps. Back, 1, 2, 3, up and back, 1, 2, 3, up and back. 2 more. Stretch kicks. Hand out, kick against it. 1, 2, 3 steps. Hand out and kick against it. 1, 2, 3. Kick. And now the frog. Knee up and back. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. Now back. In. Back. Out. And now crash can kicks. Our leg up and back. Up and in. Back. Up and in. And lunge kicks. I'm going to kick now close to the camera. So in front of the right leg and kick the left one and back. Other leg. Left leg in front and kick. And right leg in front and kick. Back and left leg in front and kick. And squat kicks. Squat and kick. Squat and kick. And swing kicks. Swing and kick. I forgot one. When you don't have time for the kicks, 12 push-ups on the ground. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the tailbone in, elbows close to the cage, and up the first one. Second one. Third one. And number 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. And 8. And 9. And 10. And 11. Last one, number 12. And one leg up. Other leg. Legs wide apart, breathing it out. And breathe out. Breathing close for legs. And breathing it out. That was for martial arts basic training. Thank you very much, and next time.